Noe jeg har tenkt ganske mye på I det siste, det at nå kjører jeg en Cadillac SUV, og den modellen heter Escalade. Og da føler jeg meg veldig som en viss norsk eventyrfigur, nemlig Espen Escaladen.
All your mothers and your brothers and your sisters and your fathers and everybody walking this land, no matter your race, your creed, your tribe, whose nation you defend, with open hearts, open minds, lend a helping hand each time to the mothers and the brothers and the sisters and the fathers, everybody walking this land.
Amerikanere et nomadefolk. Altså, amerikanere flytter mange flere ganger I løpet av livet enn det for eksempel nordmenn gjør. Og for generasjoner av amerikanere så har det å rulle vestover inn I solnedgangen vært veien til muligheter og en bedre fremtid. Nå skal jeg møte en gjeng amerikanere som ruller inn, ikke bare inn I solnedgangen, men også livets solnedgang.
Start a band. I want to understand, baby, help me understand.
Ved første øyekast ser dette ut som et treff for campingentusiaster. Men virkeligheten at mange av disse folka på permanent campingtur. De bor nemlig I bilene sine året rundt. What's this? This is a drop-off stuff for free stuff?
Free stuff, right.
What do people bring here?
About everything you can think of.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mostly clothes, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you're going to a thrift store.
Yeah. What are you looking for?
Oh, just nothing in particular.
Something that works.
Well, actually looking for sweatpants because it's so cold in the mornings, right?
Yeah. Hi there, Thomas.
Thomas, PJ.
PJ, where are you from, PJ?
Wherever my rig is parked.
Yeah. Can we go look at your
Sure.
Your truck?
You can't go in it right now, but we can look at the outside of it. I'm in travel mode, which means my slide is in, and anything that didn't have a place gets piled in the aisle, so you really can't get in it, walk through it
Okay.
right now. But we can walk around the outside of it.
Okay. You're not supposed to ask a lady her age, but may I ask you how old you are?
Well, if I live a few more months, I'm going to be 80.
Wow.
So it's been a ride. I was born during World War II.
Here.
When it was still going on. Okay, this is Betsy.
Yeah.
That's what I call her, is Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
She's 26 feet and has a V10 engine in it.
Wow.
So she's powerful to do anything I need her to do.
She's like you. You have a V10 too, huh?
Oh, well, I manage.
So this is your full year-round home?
This is my home. I'm not homeless, I'm just houseless. Mm-hmm. This is my home.
What happened to your house?
I lived there for 20 years, taking care of my elderly mother and then my older handicapped son when he was dying of colon cancer. I knew that when they were gone, I was not going to try and stay there. I didn't have enough income from Social Security to cover the expenses because an old house like that is always in need of some kind of repair.
So your pension is Social Security?
Yeah.
How much? Can I ask how much that is?
Well, it's so I don't know how much the total is, but what my bring home pay is under $1,200.
$1,200 a month. So is that enough to keep the gas in this?
It only gets about 6 miles to the gallon, so it doesn't put a lot of gas in it. But I try not to travel long distance except twice a year. Once when I go find someplace cool to park in the summer, and once when I come to find a warm place to park in the winter. And the rest of the time, like right now, I'm only 2 miles from where I'm camped.
So you're like a migrating bird.
Yeah, yeah.
Det er ganske sjokkerende å møte 80 år gamle mennesker som har jobbet og slitt hele sitt liv, som rett og slett bare er tvunget til å bo i en bil, for de ikke har råd til å eie sitt eget hjem. PJ, hun fremstiller det som at det er et nomadisk liv som hun liker, og det er en frihet i det, men jeg tenker bak den friheten så er det en dyp form for tvang. Det er ikke bare svære campingbiler. Folk bor jo i vanlige personbiler, ser jeg. Ja, her er det seng. Det er mange hjemløse pensjonister i USA. Og de som bor i biler, blir det stadig flere av. Mange er nødt til å spe på minstepensjonen med fysisk krevende strøjobber på fabrikker og gårder.
Hello.
Enjoying the sun?
Yeah, I am pretty much.
When did you get down here?
I got here a couple days ago.
You want to show us your rig?
Sure. It's a couple rows this way.
All
So
righty.
is that going to be all right?
Yeah.
So this is me right here.
Nice.
It's a nice Sprinter van. It's like a Panzer tank.
Panzer, yeah. German?
Yeah.
German Panzer.
Okay. So I haven't cleaned up, so I'm a little nervous, but this is just the real life here.
How long have you had this one?
7 years. This is kind of a sleeping arrangement
That's
here.
where the magic happens? So this is the...
Yeah.
You want to give me a tour of the premises?
Okay, I'm particularly proud of my piano situation here. I'm a beginning piano player, and I have a teacher, and it's electric, and I can pull this out and practice anywhere. I have a various assortment of hats, so I got a lot of bad hair days, and so I need to figure a hat to wear. So if I were to cook something, I would probably pull this out, or I might use, I have a little butane stove here, and I run these a lot. So it's like camping, basically. I don't have running water, so I just use jugs of water.
So where do you shower?
Well, I go to the gym, and also, you know, I use baby wipes, and I have some bowls and things I use to wash off.
So you're 69 and you're living in a van.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I had a little change of situation with a relationship, and so first night I spent in the van, I go, well, this is not horrible. I can do this while I look for a place to live. And, you know, it was really hard to find a place that I could afford. And so I decided to build this out and make it comfortable.
You don't want to show your face. Why is that?
I think that some people I've known in the past would have some judgments about this, you know, and sometimes it's pretty harsh, and don't really want to go through that.
Is it because of shame?
Yeah, I'd have to say that. Yeah, yeah.
What's your source of income? You're retired?
Retired, yeah. My background is I was in natural health care. I was a chiropractor.
Is this how you envision your golden years?
No, not at all. No, but I'm making the best of it, and you know, just like that.
'cause I built my life around you. The time makes you bolder, children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well,
Tenk at her i USA, altså verdens største pengebinge, må folk som har jobbet hardt hele livet bo i biler. Altså, dette er ikke folk som har levd på kanten av samfunnet eller havnet på skråplan eller noe sånt. Dette er helt vanlige skattebetalere.
Hi everyone, welcome to my next video.
YouTuberen Bob Wells har blitt en slags guru blant bilboerne.
But I'm getting older and my balance isn't perfect and this thing will never ever move or flip on me. And to me,
Gjennom
that
praktiske
is
råd og
the
tips
most
hjelper han andre rullende hjemløse til å få det litt bedre.
never move. I have slept on many dozens of different kinds of sleeping pads.
Bob ble også kjent for resten av verden gjennom den Oscar-vinnende spillefilmen Nomadland, der han spilte seg selv.
See you down the road, Swanky. One of the things I love most about this life is that there's no final goodbye. You know, I've met hundreds of people out here, and I don't ever say a final goodbye. I always just say, I'll see you down the road. And I do.
Det er også Bob og organisasjonen hans som står bak Nomadefestivalen.
Bob, you dedicate your life to helping other people. Why?
I've lived a life where there was despair and hopelessness. I couldn't afford to pay rent. I had to live in my van. I hated living in a van. I felt like a homeless bum, like I was a total failure at society. Society doesn't ask much from us. Get a job, go to work, raise a family, and I'd failed at all of it. And I felt like a total loser. Mm-hmm. And so when I see that despair and hopelessness in another human being, I just feel compelled to do anything I can to help them. And I wanted to tell people they had an option. Most people don't think they have an option. They just have to conform to society's dictates, do what they're told, and live out their lives the best they can.
How did presumably middle-class Americans end up spending their golden years living in cars?
America operates basically off capitalism. And because it's an incredibly effective system, it generates enormous wealth. It creates all this wealth, and then it moves it up to the top. And the people at the bottom just get left behind. And that's what is here. That's what basically is here, people left behind. Somehow we've gotten this crazy idea out of capitalism of trickle down, Ronald Reagan. The money will trickle down. Let's funnel it all to the top, and then somehow it will trickle down and you'll be better off. Well, that's turned out to be completely false. There's not a shred of truth to that.
It's just a waterfall upwards.
It only goes one way. We have billionaires in this country, and their employees have to go on welfare and get food stamps because they're not paid enough. And if they try to unionize, they come in and stomp all over them. If they tried to get more and to get a fair share of the pie, they're just put down and stomped on.
The fundamental part of the American dream was that if you work hard, you're going to have a good life.
And there is a lot of truth to that, and there still is. And there's many Americans do that every day. And then when they come to the end of their life, there's nothing there.
Are senior Americans worse off today than 50 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. For example, 50 years ago, if you were a woman and you were just coming of age, you were told in this country to get married, stay at home, have kids, make sure your husband's happy, and then in your old age we'll take care of you. Someone will, your husband will. But too many times the husband is now dead, or he found a younger model and has divorced and remarried. And that woman, who did exactly what she was told 50 years ago, is now living on $300, $400, $500, $800 a month, which in this country is nothing. That doesn't pay rent. The average rent in this country is $2,000. So they are, by no choice, no bad decision of their own, they are destitute.
What about the men?
Well, men are better off, although they die younger, of course.
How old are you now?
I'm 68.
How do you see your future? How long are you going to be living in a car?
To the day I die, with a little luck, as long as my health will allow me, I will live on wheels. I have no desire to live in four walls.
And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down. Oh, the landslide bring it down.
Det er vel få ting som er mer uramerikansk enn skateboarding. Og som gammel skater selv, synes jeg det er ekstra stas å være her i Santa Cruz, California, som på sett og vis er skatingens hovedstad. Hvorfor er jeg her? Jo, her skal jeg møte en av de kuleste skaterne jeg vet om. Og det er ikke noe tatovert kar på 20 med ring i både nesa og balla. Nei, det er ei dame på 64 år.
Hi, nice meeting you, Thomas. This is where I go to hang out, to get away from my family. And it's got lots of decades of skateboard history.
Since it's like a skateboarding museum.
Kind of. I've got drawers of old skate posters and
Shirts.
that. Wow. Yeah, this is where I actually went to high school, Aptos High, and that was like my second race I went to.
You can tell it's kind of old because it says donated to Special Olympics for the mentally retarded. So
Yeah.
but
This
that
one,
dates
I
it.
know.
When did you start skateboarding?
I skateboarded when I was 13. My brother built a board, which I still have. You want to see it?
Oh, yeah.
It is handmade in a wood shop in Aptos and this is it.
At school?
Yeah,
Super nice.
yeah.
When you first started skating, what did your parents think?
They were really stoked about it, and I mean, they were very supportive. And I always thought when I was 13, I thought back when they were kids and they were in an internment camp when they were younger, that I should appreciate that I could skate and do whatever I wanted.
So that Japanese Americans were in camps?
Yes. They were in internment camps, and it's kind of part of American history.
During World War II?
Yes. So my parents always just wanted me to have my freedom and do what I wanted to do. So I think that's why they just encouraged me to skate and do my sport.
But was skateboarding open for you when you first started?
No, it was mostly open to the men. I would just be ready to race, but I had no races to go to. And so just like one of the other big events was skating downhill the Capitola Classic. The first year I was the only woman racing it. And then the second year, there were other women racing. And then the third year they had it, they made it invite only. And I didn't get invited. I said, well, you know, I raced twice, and this is the third time. How come you made it invite only and you didn't invite me? And he said, well, because when a chick can go down the hill, it doesn't look as gnarly.
Wow.
That's what so that was just part of it. You just either weren't invited or they excluded you. Now, you know, they don't forget. But I'm not shy about complaining.
That's your punishment for making them look so ungnarly. Judy er tidligere verdensmester i slalomskating. Og i år, 64 år gammel, representerte hun USA i VM i Italia. I ikke til forkleinelse for demenskoret, men det der var noen hakk hvassere, ja. You clocking faster today than you did 10 years ago?
Yes.
You're faster at 64 than you've ever been?
Mm-hmm.
That's spectacular. So when you go skateboarding today, Judy, does anybody say that you can't skate because you're a girl?
No, but I get questioned like, I went to this Watsonville skate park early one morning, and there's a guy hanging out in there, and he's all, what are you gonna do here? Oh, I think he said old lady or something, and I said, who you fucking calling old? And it just kind of came out, and then I grabbed my board and went riding in the pool, and he had a skateboard and he left. So that was the end of that. It's perfect for me, small.
So this is Mama's ramp.
Mama's ramp, yep. Not grandma's ramp.
No, I wasn't going to say it. Judy faktisk et lite stykke amerikansk historie på 2 bein. Eller 4 hjul, om du vil. Foreldrene hennes ble sammen med 120 000 andre amerikanere satt i interneringsleire under andre verdenskrig. Kun fordi de var av japansk opprinnelse. Selv har hun trosset både kjønnsdiskriminering og aldersbarrierer som en ekte pioner. Og det var jo nettopp pionerspiriten som skapte USA. Kanskje det den som skal redde landet også? Folkens, jeg står på historisk grunn. For i det anonyme huset bak meg så bodde det på 70-tallet en bilmekaniker og hans familie. Tenåringsgutten i familien der, han satt i garasjen her og knota med loddebolt og transistorer. Han het Steve Jobs, og den knotinga, det skulle bli begynnelsen på et av verdenshistoriens absolutt største teknologieventyr, nemlig Apple. Det der hovedkvarteret til Apple. Vi får ikke lov å komme nærmere og filme, for her skjer det saker og ting som ikke hvermannsen skal få med seg, i hvert fall ikke kineserne. Jeg står nemlig midt i hjertet av det som egentlig bare var en sånn døll forstad til San Francisco, men som i dag det området som huser disse teknologiselskapene som styrer ikke bare verden, men også hverdagen vår der hjemme. Velkommen til Silicon Valley. Men de lager ikke bare overprisa smarttelefoner og snedige apper her i denne dalen her. Jeg nå på vei til et sted der de muligens i ferd med å løse noen av menneskehetens største og mest prekære utfordringer.
Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
Hi, I'm Art. Nice to meet you. Here's your helmet. Please take your protein pills and put your hard hat on.
Yes. That's it.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare.
It looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, so it's very futuristic, and in fact, it's been used in the Star Trek movies to portray what a fusion drive would look like on the Starship Enterprise. So, yeah.
Wow. What is this all about? What's the function? What are you doing here?
So our goal here is to create fusion reactions. So Fusion is the merging of two light ions together. And when that occurs, these two separate things, which in our case are isotopes of hydrogen, they become a new atom, helium. And when they merge together, they actually release some energy, right? And it's that energy which then further creates more fusions, and it's that energy which we're trying to harness for other purposes. Yeah.
And what do you get out of that?
This process, like I said, it can create energy, and it creates a carbon-free source of energy. And so that would be really impactful to have a very abundant carbon-free source of energy that we could use instead of burning fossil fuels, for example. Yeah.
So if I get this right, this is a way of making, in a way, free energy. Because in physics, I guess you have to have energy will just stay the same, but in different shapes.
That's exactly, yeah, that's exactly
here
right.
You're actually, it's generating more energy than you put into it.
That's right. So you can think of it as you're releasing energy, if you will. So the great hope is that there's all this energy that's sort of trapped in mass. And if we can fuse things together, we can release that. We basically take this laser energy, we focus it down into a target to create the conditions to create this miniature star.
This is not a model, this is an actual...
This is an actual target.
That's the actual size?
That's the actual size.
And that would be right in the core of all of this?
That's in the middle of that big sphere there. So...
That little tiny red ball? And at that very moment, that's the warmest, hottest place in our solar system?
Yes, so it gets to about 3.5 million degrees. It's hotter than anything in our solar system at that moment.
You're harnessing the power of the universe in this tiny little...
That's right. Capsule, yeah.
Is this the solution to the climate crisis?
So I would say no, this is not the solution to the climate crisis. As I understand it, and I'm not a climate scientist, we need to start transitioning away from fossil fuels like yesterday, right? So we have to reduce carbon immediately. This will help when it comes online, but we cannot wait for a fusion energy source to come online to start reducing our emissions to stop global warming. And so I think the science is there. I think there are challenges, but I think they're definitely addressable. I think if there's anything I've learned from working on this thing is that humans can do amazing things. Working collectively, we can do almost anything.
Ja, det var sjukt imponerende. Og det å tenke på at inni den infernalske helvetesmaskina, inni eller knappenålshuet, så ligger kanskje løsningen på all verdens energiproblemer. Det er helt rått. Jeg tenker at det som har skapt amerikansk storhet gjennom generasjoner, er at innovatører og folk flest i fellesskap har brettet opp ermene og dratt i samme retning. Dette store fellesskapet føler jeg nå er trua av først og fremst én ting, nemlig splittelse. USA står nå foran et skjebnevalg. Og sist det var presidentvalg, var det veldig nære på å gå virkelig gærent. Nå er jeg langt oppe i fjellene i Montana, i en bitte liten bygd her oppe. Og hit har jeg kommet for å hilse på sønnen til en av hovedmennene bak stormingen av Kongressen den 6. januar 2021. Stuart Rhodes er grunnleggeren av Oath Keepers, en av de største høyreekstreme militsene i USA. Han ble dømt til 18 års fengsel for å ha planlagt og koordinert stormingen av Kongressen i 2021. Hey.
Hello.
Thomas.
Dakota.
Dakota?
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Good to meet you. Thank you for coming all the way out.
Dakota, tell me about your dad.
All right, so I am Dakota Adams. I am the estranged eldest son of Elmer Stewart Rhodes, the founder and president of Oath Keepers and one of the ringleaders for the January 6th riot.
And what is the Oath Keepers?
Oath Keepers is a right-wing conspiracy theory ideology militia group operating inside the United States, comprised mostly of current and former military, first responders, and police. And by the time of January 6th, had fully turned into Stewart's private army and was serving as a pro-Trump paramilitary up until their breach of the Capitol during the riot.
Your father is, he's both, he has a law degree from Yale, right? And he was also a Army paratrooper, am I right?
Yes.
Did you train militarily with guns?
Yes, just not enough to actually be good at it. We had to keep up appearances of constantly training to be a militia family ready to fight the Second American Civil War, but our training was so sporadic and random that we weren't even really good at that. I got the full gun nut militia childhood experience and the childhood experience of growing up surrounded by loaded weapons and piles of rifles by the front door that would fall over on you if you tried to get a coat off the coat rack, but without the skill set to go with it and compensate me.
What was it like growing up in this insular bubble of paranoia?
So, the one thing to always remember is that the end of the world is coming perpetually 8 to 14 months from now. Always, the economy will collapse, there will be some kind of mass terrorist attack, a coup will take out the federal government, there will be some natural disaster used as a pretext to enforce martial law and bring in UN troops. There's always something. There's always something that's at the other end of a chain of dominoes from what is in the headlines and the newspapers right
It's
now.
always like a year, half a year away?
Looming just far enough in the future for a sense of urgency, but just distant enough to not be a short-term panic.
So were you guys scared a lot? Were you afraid?
So I, and to a degree, still deal with this a sense of unending, looming dread and inescapable doom that has been with me my entire childhood.
And then at some point, you and your mother and your siblings decide that you have to get away from Stewart.
So there was a gradually growing awareness in the family, and I was the last one to understand that Stewart was a fraud. I was the most indoctrinated true believer in the entire family. Once we moved into Trigo, to the place where Stewart would try to get a compound going several times.
That's up here in the wilderness in Montana.
Yes, up in the mountains outside of Trigo, back well away from any paved road.
Which is still a place we could not drive to today because it would be dangerous.
Yes, there are some roads where you are in real danger of being shot at if you show up uninvited, and especially the police are. And that is what attracted everybody to Trigo and what made it sort of a little, almost a survivalist mecca. Stewart began to get more unstable in a way that was impossible to ignore. And that's when the planning began. And we had 2 solid years of planning for the escape that went into gradually setting up everything that we needed to do to break away from Stewart and his support network.
Or early one morning, you just went out and sat in the car and left?
So the morning that we escaped, Stewart had been in one of his manic episodes and had awoken early in the AM before dawn to run around the house playing with all of his prepper materials and his many guns. So we had to very slowly sneak everything out to my truck, one piece at a time, literally while his back was turned, as he ran around this one-room cabin in the middle of the woods in a frenzy. And the divorce paperwork in the mail, too late to turn back now. We have to get out of the house in the early morning because it has to be today.
So you're in the car, you're in the truck, you have your siblings, your mom, and you have your bug out bags, and you got everything. Then what happens?
We crammed all of the children into the back seat, and Stuart comes out onto the porch yelling,
Yeah.
and I am expecting that somehow we've been caught and he's about to jump into his car and this is about to be a chase out of Trigo. And so what I'm thinking to myself is, I am in a lighter vehicle, I can take turns faster, I can probably get enough distance on the Trigo roads that he can't try to shoot out the tires.
You went into the training you got from him. Okay.
And it was just that he wanted us to get him steak while we were out.
What?
And charge it to an Oath Keeper's expense card.
He wanted you to get him some steaks?
He wanted to get steak. And my mom, to this day, feels guilty that instead of getting a steak dinner, he found out that his entire life had just changed and his family was leaving him. And she thinks of how sad it is to be expecting a nice evening in, and then instead hear over the phone that you're being served divorce papers. I don't feel sad at all. In fact, I revel in the thought of what a rug pull that was, and I feel very satisfied about it.
A rug pull, pulling the rug away from under his feet?
Yeah, I
finally
feel...
a sense of payback, retribution?
Yeah, I feel extraordinarily proud of myself for how betrayed Stuart must have felt by the 2 years of lying and subterfuge that I conducted to make this happen. And I hope that he's still mad about it.
So was it 2018, you and your mother and your siblings, you escaped Stuart, and then about 3 years later, January 6th, you're watching TV? What are you doing?
I found out about January 6th hours after the fact because I had been sleeping away a wisdom tooth removal surgery on painkillers and woke up and checked Reddit and saw the guy with the Viking horns in the Senate chamber and realized that a mob had stormed the Capitol. And I didn't realize how serious it truly was until much later when I saw Oath Keeper's involvement and saw the stacks breaking into the Capitol.
Stacks, what does that mean?
And when you look at the footage of the January 6th insurrection and you see the single file lines of men in body armor and green paramilitary uniforms, one after the other with their hands on each other's shoulders, making their way through the crowd.
So in the chaos, you can see some actual military patterns in the movements.
And that's when I knew something else was going on, because I immediately knew those guys were Oath Keepers.
How does that make you feel to know that your father has been convicted as one of the leaders, so to speak, of the January 6th insurrection?
My entire emotional relationship with Stuart right now is the potential threat that he poses to my family. So I am glad that Stuart was dumb enough to put himself in the position of being an expendable paramilitary and failing to learn the lesson of history that the brown shirts always get burned when they are no longer useful.
Dakota, you've decided to go into politics yourself. You see it right here. What office are you running for?
I am running for House District 1 of the Montana State Legislature, and I am running as a progressive Democrat in an area that has in recent years become deeply, deeply Trump-supporting Republican.
So how's that going to work? Are you going to win?
I'm becoming increasingly concerned that I might actually win and have to do the job, which is a source of anxiety for me.
Do you think your father knows that you're running for office as a progressive Democrat?
I have no idea. He might have been told. I haven't gotten any sad prison mail from him yet.
So you running as a left-leaning Democrat, is that sort of a payback or a revenge against your dad?
A lot of people have asked me that. I have done a lot of personal examination to make sure that I am not just taking an unthinking 180-degree reversal of Stuart's positions, because I would still be allowing him to control my life instead of being my own person.
Vi har prøvd å legge fram uttalelsene til Dakota for Stuart Rhodes, både via advokaten hans og fengselet han soner i. Han har ikke svart på henvendelsene våre. USA er på flere måter preget av en ganske mørk historie. Men det Dakota viser oss er at man må ikke bære dritten videre. Man kan bryte ut av fortidas forbannelse. Så hva har gamlis-nomadene, skate-dronninga, nerdene på fusjonsfabrikken og ekstremistsønnen til felles? Jo, de nekter å gi opp håpet om at et sted, vest i horisonten, så finnes fremdeles muligheten for et bedre USA. Og det håpet gir ikke jeg opp heller. For opp igjennom historien har folka i dette landet tross alt funnet løsninger og skapt ting resten av verden ikke trodde var mulig.
Dream when you're feeling blue. Dream.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Just watch the smoke rings rise in the air. You'll find your share of memories there. So dream when the day is through.
I have a dream.
Dream, and they might come true. Think